Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday morning. I hope it's lovely and sunny where you are. The sun is shining. There's a bit of blue sky this morning. And it feels like a good morning to get some tips on habit stacking. So whether you're new to habit stacking or whether you've never heard about it before, you're really welcome in this space. And I look forward to spending some time with you today. There is a chat bar, so you can join in with the session, pop your comments in there, and we'll get back to you. There hopefully will be some time for some questions at the end as well. So let's get started. So thank you for joining me today on our habit stacking workshop. This week is Mindspace week, which is dedicated to supporting mental well-being. You're going to find some really interesting sessions here at the Virtual Village Hall this week, all designed to soothe the mind and nurture healthy habits. We would love to invite you to join in live when you can, or you can catch up with sessions in your own time on the Virtual Village Hall YouTube archive. We are being streamed on Facebook and YouTube live this morning. My name is Gill Jordan. Hello. I'm an ADHD and wellbeing coach and trainer, and I work with a wide variety of people from adults to teens, as well as working with parents as they support their own neurodivergent children. I have 3 children myself and 2 working Cocker Spaniels, so I like a busy life. Welcome to our session today. Before we get cracking with our session, I thought we'd just take a minute to breathe and just to find ourselves in this space. All of us have a lot of other stuff going on in our world, and we're going to leave that all at the door this morning as we come in. Just take a couple of deep breaths and just focus on the session today. You might want to close your eyes. Welcoming in a new week, welcoming in some information and learning about habit stacking. Take another breath, and then when you're ready, you can open your eyes, and off we go. Okay, I always like to do a little bit of contracting at the beginning of our sessions, and I know I can't see you or hear you, but I know you're there. And just again to remind you that this will be streamed live on Facebook, and it will be kept in the YouTube archive for a long time. So just be mindful of what you're going to share, because this is a public space this morning. Also, make sure you keep yourself emotionally safe so you're not feeling overwhelmed, and grounded as we journey through the session. There's lots of grounding techniques you can use, from giving yourself a hug. If you start to feel overwhelmed, it's going to be okay. You can press your hands together. You can feel your seat, your bum in the seat, your feet on the floor. You can go for a walk. You can get some fresh air. And if you're really having a difficult time as we journey through, you can splash water on your face. And that should reset you and keep you grounded and reduce overwhelm. Feel free to pop any questions in the chat as we go along. And as I mentioned earlier, hopefully there'll be some time to answer questions at the end of the session. Okay, a bit of an overview of today's session. So we're going to look at three areas. What is habit stacking, for those of you that haven't come across it before? And then I've put together the 6 R's for reward. So hopefully that will be helpful when you're planning your habit stacking at home. And I'm going to take you through that step by step today, so you can actually live plan some habit stacking in your life. And then we're going to finish off by looking at some lessons from a butterfly. Okay, let's get cracking. Good morning. I'm seeing lots of lovely comments coming up. Sam, lovely. Good morning, everybody. Well, you're very welcome. It's great to have you here. Okay, so let's have a look at what is habit stacking. So the mental energy that we use to juggle all of our daily tasks can be quite overwhelming. It can even lead to fatigue and exhaustion, and it can have a greater impact if you're neurodivergent. So habit stacking is a way that we can help ourselves, because the more we automate tasks and stack them together, the less energy it takes, and the more energy we have for everything else in our day. Habit stacking creates consistency in our daily routines. And when we practice habit stacking regularly, the brain starts to make little connections between the tasks, increasing our ability to remember. Habit stacking reduces traits like forgetfulness, time blindness, and executive function challenges like planning and organization. By stacking our habits together, we go into autopilot. And before you know it, we can complete a whole range of tasks every day without too much thought or too much energy use. It takes a lot of practice. Research tells us that practicing habit stacking by linking new tasks to established tasks means we're more likely to succeed than if we did the task as a standalone task. I wanted to give you an example of habit stacking, and that could be Having a cup of water on your desk when you're working to remind you to drink. Every time you notice the cup, you take a sip, and that's kind of one of your habit stacking rules. Or another example might be while you're waiting for the shower to warm up, you do squats. You are using an existing habit of showering to link another habit to. And with practice, doesn't come immediately, you have to practice it. When you do the trigger habit, like the shower, you can learn to follow up with the secondary habit, and it just follows on naturally. So when you're standing to wait for the shower, for example, you'll remember to do your squats. And that's a nice simple one. You can add anything else in, of course, other than squats too. It doesn't have to be squats. One of the key things with habit stacking is don't worry if you don't get it right every time, okay? Practice makes perfect, so keep trying. Another key is starting small is really key. So adding one little habit stack into your day and then slowly building over time. And that allows our brains to connect everything together gently and slowly, which will lead to your long-term success. So to support your journey into habit stacking today, I have created some habit stacking headlines. Let's have a look. So my first headline is to reflect. So we want to reflect on our current habits. You might even have some habit stacking already in your day. And then we also want to reflect on areas where we might want to develop some habit stacking. So as an example, what's your morning routine? Do you remember to go for your shower after you feed the dog? Do you remember to wipe down the kitchen counters after you've washed the dishes? What habits do you already have in place? What habits are connected in your life? I hope you can start to see how habits can link together and how one habit can serve as a reminder to do another. You may even have a whole habit stacking routine already in place. So here's an example for you. Riley, meet Riley. Riley's morning routine goes something like this. The alarm goes off, they feed the dog, they take a shower, but then they get distracted while they're getting ready. And in the distraction brackets, you can insert whatever you need. So it could be phone, kids, daydreaming, dogs barking, whatever's going on. And that's going to look different for all of us. And time slips away. Riley eventually realizes they're late for work, but they can't find the car keys. Riley arrives late at work, having had no breakfast and nothing to drink. So that's a bit of an example of a routine, a morning routine, habit stacking routine. So I would say, the first part goes really well. So the alarm goes off, feed the dog, take the shower, a great little habit stack, bump, 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 one after the other. But then things get a little blurry, don't they? So it could be that Riley might benefit from some further habit stacking to help them get out on time, to know where their keys are maybe, and to have eaten some breakfast or had a drink, all healthy parts of our life. So a couple of questions for you to consider now as you take time to reflect is, do you have any current habit stacking in place in your daily routines? This can help you see how habit stacking works. It can also help you to identify areas where things are going smoothly, and importantly, the gaps when things get a little blurry. I'm not saying every part of our day has to be structured, by the way. We all need some blurry part of our day. Choosing when we have those times, and more importantly, when we don't have those times, can be helpful in enabling us to achieve our goals. Take a moment now to note down any blurry areas of your day that could do with a little bit of habit stacking magic. So just write that down. I will give you a few seconds to write that down, and then we'll move on. So we are reflecting. What current habits do you have in place? Are there any habit stacking that you have already in the morning, maybe in the evening? Could be part of your working day. Do you go in and check the emails, respond to the phone calls, check on messages? Write those down. And where are the blurry areas? Where are the areas where you just think, do you know what? That is a bit hit and miss. I could do with a little bit of support in this area, a little bit of a system in place so that I can achieve my goals. Okay. So once you've done a bit of reflecting, picked up on your current habits and where you want to add some new ones, we're going to do some refreshing. let's take that blurry area that you wrote down, and we're going to spend some time refreshing it. So I wanted to give you an example to think about. So consider what a new morning routine could look like, a routine which helps you to achieve your goals. You can use habit stacking anywhere in your day where you would like to use less brain power and make sure you don't forget to do something and ultimately achieve your goals. So for example, the morning routine could be shower, makeup, hair, breakfast, know where your keys and bag are, and get out of the house on time. So first, it might be helpful to write down a plan for ourselves. It's good to do that when you're not rushing around in the moment. It's good to take some time to think about that, but also to try and consider what our goal is and what we need to do to make it happen. So an example plan might be you set your alarm. As soon as you hear your alarm, your feet must hit the floor. That's the rule. No snooze buttons. Shower first, so you go straight from bed into the shower, and then while you're showering, maybe set a timer, or you can listen to music. That's a good hack for the exact time that you want or need to shower. Then you move on to your hair and makeup. You again can set a timer or develop a playlist for the exact time that you want to take each morning to do those things. Then breakfast is next on the list. So you can either pre-prepare some protein bars or snacks that you can grab on the way out the door to take with you, or you allow time in your schedule to sit and eat your breakfast. Then you want to get out on time. So you want to set an alarm 5 minutes before you depart so you can grab your bag, your keys and your phone before you head out the door bang on time. So really think about that kind of morning routine. What are your goals? If your goal is to get out on time whilst having breakfast and a drink and being clean and tidy, that might be a good kind of system for you, a good habit stacking routine. There's obviously a little bit of background work to be done before the morning. So you need to know your bags, your keys and your phone are always in the same place is what I would recommend. Set an alarm once you've worked out timings for everything to keep you on track. Make sure you've got a towel to hand and your hot water is ready, things like that. Your breakfast must be pre-prepared the day before or batch cooked up the weekend, or you have to allow time to prepare it in your daily plan. So once you've got all of that thought out, the next step is to give it a try. Does the habit stacking work? Does the rhythm work for you? Do you need to adjust your timings to make your shower shorter, or set an alarm 10 minutes before leaving the house instead of 5 to make sure that you leave on time, because that's one of your goals? Once you have refined your habit stacking practice, you just need to keep practicing over and over again, the exact same routine until it becomes second nature. At this point, it reduces the mental load that you experience, giving you more energy for the rest of your day whilst achieving your goals. It's a win-win. So we're just going to take a minute now to refresh. So I invite you to take a minute to write down an area of your life where you could use a new habit stacking routine to help you reach your goals. You can choose a part of your life that's maybe a bit overwhelming, getting difficult to manage, or loses direction. It might be an area which you could do with support to remember things or streamline them so you don't get sidetracked and saving you energy. So just on your piece of paper, take some time to refresh. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Where could you use a new routine? Where are you not achieving your goals? Might be another question to consider. Do you have any times in your day that get a bit overwhelming with lots of different things to do and you don't know what to do first? Do you get sidetracked or lose direction at certain parts of your day? Have a think about that and just write that down now. Which area of your life do you want to add some habit stacking? Where are we going to add some refreshment today? Okay, well, let's move on. Remember, you can come back to these once the session's finished as well, and keep building on them. Okay, so headline number 3 is remind, okay? So we've reflected, we've refreshed, We're going to come up with an amazing new plan. How are we going to remember to do it? That can be a real challenge. It can be hard to remember lots of information every day, and it can depend on how our working memory functions and also its capacity. So instead of using our working memory to remember things, a good strategy can be to use visual reminders or alarms to help us stay on track. An example of a visual reminder might be, before you go to bed, leave out the clothes you want to wear to work tomorrow, so you don't have to remember what you wanted to wear or use time and energy finding the right clothes in the morning, especially if you end up being in a rush. Another example might be to pre-make your breakfast bars and put them in a jar on the counter next to the coffee machine so that you see them when you make your morning cup of coffee and you can grab one and pop it in your bag. Another example might be having your keys and bags visible and accessible by the front door, maybe, so you don't have to find them before you leave the house. Maybe place your keys and bag by your shoes, so when you get home, they're all there together in the morning, ready to go. I always encourage my clients to have places where they leave things regularly and only put them in those places. It can save us a lot of time finding lost things. We can use our phones. They can be very helpful. We can set alarms to remind us of anything, or we can use calendar alerts or set specific reminders on Alexa and things like that. On some phones, you can change your alarm to be specific about the task or reminder that you need. So it doesn't just say alarm. It'll say, don't forget to have some breakfast. This also removes the need for us to use our working memory to remember why we set the alarm. So anything you can do to reduce your working memory can be really helpful. There are also habit tracking apps now, which you can use to remind you, or even go old school and create a spreadsheet, print it out and pop it somewhere visible, maybe on your fridge or by the bed if it's your morning routine. Use whatever strategies work for you already in other areas of your life, or you can work with a coach to develop some strategies of your own, some new ones. So take a minute now to remind yourself, how are you going to remind yourself to do your new habit stacking routine? What systems already work best for you in your life? Do you respond well to alarms or timers or calendar alerts? Do you have an app that you can plug in some information to help you remember what you need to do? But have a little think. I will give you a few seconds to have a think about how you're going to remind yourself about your new habit stacking routine. Are you going to leave your breakfast bars by the coffee machine? Are you going to leave your clothes on the bed? What are you going to do? Maybe you need to research some apps today. You could write that down. Have a look at some apps to help you remember what you are going to do in your new habit stacking routine. Okay, so I hope you're starting to build up a few things on your paper now. We've done some reflecting, we've done some refreshing, and now we're going to work out what reminders work best for us. Let's have a look. We're going to move on now. We're going to review, okay? So headline number 4 is review. It's always good to review things because things change. So a regular review can be really helpful. Our lives change every single day. When reviewing, there are a few things that we can consider. What obstacles are in your way might be something to think about. What do you need to change in yourself, your environment, or with others to help you succeed? So if we take our morning routine as an example, some examples of things to review are, do you hit snooze on the alarm? What needs to change to enable you to get out of bed? That's the first thing to think about. So do you need to put your phone maybe on the other side of the room? Do you need to make your alarm really annoying and very loud so it startles you out of bed in the morning and you can't ignore it? You might have another technique for your alarm. Thinking about the bathroom access. Does somebody else in your household jump in the shower so you can't use the bathroom? You can't go from alarm straight to bathroom. So could you allocate some bathroom access times within your house to help you achieve your habit stacking goals? That should also help other people in the house too. Do you spend a lot of time searching for keys every day and it can make you late leaving the house? Can you always put them in the same place when you come home at the end of the day. Maybe a dish or a key hook, something like that. Then you always know where to find them. A bit like having a sock drawer. If you have a sock drawer, you always know where to find your socks. They're always in the drawer or in the washing, one or the other. So I like to think of this review process as sitting on a cloud. So take some time to sit on a cloud, look down on your life, and you're kind of reviewing what's going on and what you want to put in place. Sometimes you need to book time out to do that because that can be hard in our daily life. So booking an hour at the weekend, maybe if you have time then, or an evening. So I'm going to give you a minute now to take a moment just to review your new habit stacking routine that you've written down, or maybe a current routine, and think about what needs to change to help you achieve your goal. So just take a minute to do that. Do a little bit of cloud sitting and a little bit of reviewing. Have a think about those obstacles as well. What's stopping you achieving that routine? Because that's where you can get some really good strategies to change that and adjust it. Okay. Hoping you've got some things written down. Let's move on to reward. If you're watching this back, remember, you can pause the video and then take some extra time to fill those things in. So headline number 5 is reward. And this is a really important headline because it can also link to motivation. Some people respond really well to rewards after the event. But for those of us with neurodivergent traits, we have an interest-based nervous system. So we tend to be motivated with rewards that happen during our habit stacking routines. So an example of that might be to encourage you into the shower first thing in the morning. You might go and buy a nice new shower gel. Don't buy too many, but just a nice new one. We also like collecting things, so just go steady there. If you're trying to create a new breakfast routine, maybe you could get a new breakfast item to try, something interesting to eat for your breakfast or to drink for your breakfast. If you want to create a routine around always hanging your bag up on your keys, maybe you could go and buy a nice hook that you really like to encourage you to always put your keys in your bag there. Make it interesting, and that will help you with your habit stacking. So it needs to be something that interests us and engages us on the next step of our habit stacking. If a longer term reward does work for you, you could maybe save up for a special holiday if you achieve all your goals. You could buy a new book that you're excited to read, or an extra treat with your Friday coffee. I know some people have a little jar and they collect marbles every time they achieve their goals. And then when the jar is full, they can go and have an extra coffee or a treat or a holiday, a book, something that brings you joy, something that will motivate you to do the task that you need to do. So have a think now, and on your paper, just write down a reward that works for you. You may already be aware of what rewards work for you, and that's brilliant. So pop those down, because if you can try and integrate those into your habit stacking, it will encourage you to do them. Have a think as well about whether long-term rewards reward you, or whether it needs to be a short, more interest-based reward, because that will help you understand what motivates you to do tasks. So write down how you're going to reward yourself when you're designing your new habit stacking routine. I will give you a few seconds to do that as well. I think it's really important with reward as well to be really honest with yourself. What actually motivates you? You have to dig a bit deep for that. So that may take longer than the time we have in the session today. What motivates you to do things? And just be really honest, because there's no right answer. It's different for everybody. Some people are long-term rewards, some people are short-term rewards. So really think about that. If you've got a really long work task to do, what would happen if you went and got your favourite coffee and took it into an office with you to do that long task? Would that encourage you to do it? Would that make it easier for you to access that? Have a little think about that. Okay. And then we're going to move on. Headline number 6 is reach out. I spend a lot of time as a coach working with my clients with habit stacking and different strategies to support them in reaching their goals, both at home and in the workplace and with their families. There are people around who you can reach out to for short-term or longer-term help. Sometimes all you need to do is to chat to a family member or a friend. Sometimes a coach like me can be helpful. If you are looking for ADHD coaches, you could check out the ADHD UK website for accredited coaches. Look on the website under ADHD Marketplace and Coaches. Make sure you're careful about which coaches you choose, and I would highly recommend ADHD UK because I know they're all accredited. A coach will know which questions to ask you to help you create a habit stacking routine to start with. You can then give it a try and make changes until it works for you. So have a think, who could you reach out to? It also helps with accountability if you share your goals with another person. So maybe think about somebody you could reach out to for a bit of accountability. You might even know somebody who wants to set their own goals and would value that accountability back. So you could create a little mini team and support each other as you habit stack or whatever the other person's doing too. So write that down on your paper. Who can you reach out to? Do you have any friends or family members that you think would be good? Brilliant. I can see that Sam has popped in as well, that they find the Pomodoro technique really works with bite-sized rewards for every 25 minutes of work completed. Works really well when breaking down a huge task into less overwhelming bits. Absolutely, Sam, and thank you for sharing that. The Pomodoro technique is brilliant. If you don't know what it is, have a little look. But it's one way of chunking your time into bite-sized bits, so it's not so overwhelming. One of the challenges sometimes for us ADHDers is that we can struggle to get started with a task. So even having a timer set for 5 minutes, if 25 minutes seems a bit overwhelming, can be enough to just get you over the hump and get you started on the task. And I always say to my clients, think about how long you want to spend doing the task. If it's something you're really not looking forward to and you're going to find it really challenging, then maybe make the time shorter and then the reward time comes quicker, and that can help you as well. But thank you for that, Sam. That's really, it's a brilliant technique. Okay, let's try and draw it all together with a bit of a conclusion. So the first thing I always say is we need to be realistic, okay? We're all human. We don't always achieve things the first time we try it, and it can take a long time to embrace a new habit. And we won't get it right all the time. That's okay. There's no shame and blame. We're much better to dust ourselves off and try again. I always think shame and blame lead to breaking down and not building up, but that's a subject for another webinar. But remember to start slow, build your habits gradually, just like our friend, the butterfly. So here's an example, our beautiful butterfly picture that we have here. When a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, it doesn't just pop out ready to soar. The process inside the chrysalis takes time. Even after emerging, its wings are soft and crumpled. The butterfly has to pump fluid into them, stretch them out, and wait for them to dry before it can fly. If it tries too soon, it won't succeed. But there's no failure, just a natural process of growth at its own pace. Every moment of struggle to open the chrysalis strengthens its wings for future flight. From our friend the butterfly, we can be reminded that change is gradual, growth comes from persistence, and timing is personal, just like habit stacking. And I really love that line, just a natural process of growth at its own pace. And that's what we need this to be. We can't come in all, happy and ready to go with 75 different things that we want to achieve today, because that isn't the key to long-term sustainability. What we need to do is add it in gradually, bit by bit, one by one even maybe. Okay, so be like a butterfly. Be like a butterfly. Brilliant. Let's see if we have any questions. Is there any questions coming up on the chat? We've had Sam sharing the Pomodoro technique, which is brilliant. Fabulous. Feel free to send in your questions if you have anything that you'd like to ask either now or after the session, and we'll be checking in after the session as well. It would be really nice if you wanted to share any of your habit stacking wins as well afterwards. That would be really brilliant. Or just ask any questions that you have as you're developing your habit stacking routine. Good. Well, I can't see any questions coming up. So in that case, I have been Gill Jordan, and this has been Habit Stacking. I hope you found the webinar helpful today. These are different ways that you can connect with me. And if you have any questions, we would love to hear from you either at the Virtual Village Hall or me. So take care, and thank you for joining us today.